Welcome Wastelanders, I'm Eurogamer's Ian Higton, and I'm back with another video where I try to untangle the mysteries of Fallout 76. As the radioactive dust of the Bethesda conference starts to settle, a lot of details are slowly beginning to emerge that paint a better picture of the type of game Fallout 76 will actually be. And that game sounds like a radically different experience to what series fans are used to. But is this a bad thing? Let's find out as I go over 9 things you really need to know if you're worried about Fallout 76 gameplay.
Take me home, country road.
In Vault 76, our future begins.
Good morning, Vault 76. This is the Overseer.
The biggest question players have had since the initial tease of Fallout 76 has been whether or not the game will be single-player, multiplayer, or a combination of both. Well, despite some mixed messages at E3, Fallout 76, at launch at least, will be a 100% always-online multiplayer experience. Now, I know there was some confusion over this after Todd Howard took to the stage at BE3 and said that you could play the game solo, but what he neglected to mention at that point is that you'll still need to be online to play it, and as such, will still run the risk of bumping into other players. Think of solo Fallout 76 gameplay then as if you were playing a game of Destiny on your own rather than in a fire team. You can roam around on your own as much as you want, building, fighting and scavenging, but you'll never truly be alone and playing a proper single-player game.
Chin up there, sport.
So if there's no single-player campaign, how then will quests and story missions work? Well, while there will be quests and story missions, it sounds like they're going to be handled very differently to the way they have been in previous Fallout games. In an interview with Jeff Keighley, Todd Howard confirmed that there would be no NPCs in the game whatsoever, so any missions aside from the main story mission will most likely be picked up from holotapes and terminals, and will potentially be procedurally generated to give the game unlimited content. Another way you'll be kept entertained is by taking part in random events. As Bethesda's Jeff Gardner confirmed in NoClip's brilliant Making of Fallout 76 documentary, you'll be notified about events like super mutants attacking a farm, and then it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to help out, and whether or not you want to meet up with other players to do that. Basically, what I'm saying is, Bethesda wants every person you meet, fight or trade with in the game to be a real human being. Because of this, the quests and missions you undertake in Fallout 76 will be a lot more freeform, based around what you and your friends decide you want to do that day. Perhaps you'll want to explore the abandoned remains of the Camden amusement park and set up camp next to the Dodgems, or maybe you'll decide to go on the hunt for some rare building components. With a map 4 times the size of Fallout 4's Boston that features 6 distinct regions and a huge amount of new monsters to fight, there'll be so much choice you may just forget about the fact that there are no traditional quest lines altogether.
Today's episode, Atomics for Peace.
Another big source of confusion regarding Fallout 76 is the inclusion of nukes in the game, with many Fallout fans fearing that these weapons of mass destruction could inspire other players to be trolls of mass douchebaggery. Well, again, in NoClip's Fallout doc, we were given some solid details about how they will work and why they're even in the game in the first place. The nukes you see are end-game content that the main story of Fallout 76 is built around. Thanks to the radiation unleashed by the Great War, giant winged monsters known as Scorch Beasts have begun burrowing their way out of the ground, and it's up to you to try and seal these fissures with some good old-fashioned nuclear strikes. But as Fallout 76 is an online game, this endgame content needs to be replayable so that people don't finish a storyline and then get bored. To combat this, the nukes actually have a different function rather than just laying waste to an entire area. Fire a nuke at a specific point on the map, and instead of wiping everything out, it'll instead create a brand new high-level area that's full of dangerous radiation, but rich in legendary items and high-level resources. What this means is that, in theory, players will be much less likely to nuke other camps, because when the victims of that blast respawn, they'll be much closer to all the brand new mega loot. This way, players who manage to unlock a nuclear strike, something which is very hard to do by the way, will be more likely to drop it further away from other players so that they can be the first ones to suit up and go raiding. I mean, if you've worked your ass off to claim all the nuke codes, why would you then gift another team with all the high-level loot? That would just be a huge waste of your time. Furthermore, it's worth pointing out that these high-level zones will only last for a certain amount of time before they slowly revert back to normal. This is a nice way to keep the endgame gameplay cyclical, meaning that players can rinse and repeat the process as many times as they like.
Search for others who might be harboring a grudge.
Now, in my last video about Fallout 76, I made a bit of a mistake. I wrongly assumed that there would be no Vats in Fallout 76, due to the fact that the game is online only and no examples of Vats were shown in the gameplay reveal footage. Well, according to Todd Howard himself, Vats will be in the game, but unlike in Fallout 3 where it stops time altogether, or in Fallout 4 where it slows down time, in Fallout 76, Vats will work in real time. This means players will have to select body parts on the fly, as everything is happening in full speed around them. This is good news for players out there who aren't super great at aiming, as they'll be able to use this to pinpoint and hit exact areas of their opponent's bodies. But still, a real-time Vats is going to be a very odd thing to experience.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong.
Something else that wasn't explained too well during the BE3 announcement was the camps, your portable settlement builders. While we've been told you can use them to build a settlement anywhere you want, the truth is there are some restrictions. For instance, you won't be able to place one right outside the door to Vault 76 and then troll all the new spawns. If you leave a game and then rejoin at a later date, your settlement will respawn where you last left it. But in the very rare case of you spawning into a map where someone has their camp on the very same spot, your camp will then be saved as a blueprint so you can find somewhere less busy to deploy it. It's also worth knowing that your portable settlements in Fallout 76 are smaller than your standard settlements, but that you can build bigger ones in areas with public workshops. The catch here, though, is that these locations will often need to be cleared out before you can build there, and once claimed, it then runs the risk of having an event spawn on it. On the plus side, public workshops allow you to get regular incomes of valuable crafting resources. So if, for instance, the place you claim is a mine, you may get a daily amount of lead that you can then use to craft bullets with. Bullets that you can then later trade with other players for lots of lovely caps.
No I in nuclear wasteland.
Now, I've seen a lot of people worrying about how online play will attract trolls and griefers to the game. The type of people that ruined Sea of Thieves when that launched, basically. Well, it's not just you that's worried, Bethesda is as well, and as such has implemented a few things to try and dissuade people from being dicks to one another. As I mentioned earlier, the way that nukes work means that people will be less likely to waste their benefits on strangers, but if for some reason you do end up getting a nuke on the noggin, you'll find that it's pretty easy to repair any damage done to your settlement. Dying won't hinder your progression either, and the only penalty for popping your clogs seems to be respawning at a nearby location. If someone does get a bit too aggressive, they'll also receive a wanted level, which other players will then be able to see. The higher the wanted level, the more revenge points you get when killing them, and the higher the total bounty you earn will be. So yeah, it might not stop griefers, but it'll certainly dissuade them, and it'll give you and your mates a good excuse to go and teach them a lesson.
chin up there, sport.
As rumoured, Fallout 76 will be a survival game, although, in the words of Todd Howard, it's a softcore survival sim at best. But what exactly does that mean? Well, for a start, you will need to keep your character fed and watered in order for them to survive. To help you monitor this, there are handy food and water meters located on the bottom right of the player HUD. Gathering food and water will play a big part in your everyday life in Fallout 76, but you're also able to buy and sell food that you have found or cooked. Some items of food are more valuable than others, especially the stuff crafted by players themselves, so there's the potential to roleplay the game as a travelling chef if you really want to. Just bear in mind that food rots over time, so be really careful not to give any of your customers the shits, otherwise you'll go out of business pretty quickly. You'll also need to watch out for radiation if you want to survive in West Virginia, especially as rad effects work differently to how they did in Fallout 4. In Fallout 4, the higher the dose of radiation you had, the lower your max health would be. In Fallout 76, the higher your rad count is, the greater your chance that you'll suffer from mutations. Mutations act in a similar way to how they were handled in Fallout 2, with each mutation offering a potential buff and a potential penalty. These mutations can be cured if you don't like them, but there's a chance their beneficial effects will outweigh any negatives they might have, so it's worth seeing what they do before you head to the doctors. Perks also behave differently in Fallout 76, with the wall chart from Fallout 4 being replaced by perk cards. You earn these cards in the same way as usual, by levelling up, but you can also swap out your active cards whenever you want, so you can continually change your build. The game even lets you share your cards with members of your party, so you can build custom classes for the game's various events. So, for instance, if you were thinking about attacking a Scorch Beast, you could make sure one person is focused on close range attacks, another on long range, while the other two are built around defense and healing. Or, if you wanted to roleplay as traders, you could give one player cooking perks, one player engineering perks, and so on, and then sell all of your hard work for lovely profit. Again, there's a huge range of possibilities here. The final point you need to know about Fallout 76, if you're worried about the gameplay, is Bethesda's plans for post-launch content. For a start, there will be microtransactions in the game. Details are slim regarding what they will be, but they will be purely cosmetic. By implementing these, the team will be able to then finance regular free content drops for all players, be it new events, new DLC, whatever. In the Jeff Keighley interview, Todd Howard also confirmed that the game would evolve over time and that modding will eventually come to the service, but that it definitely won't be available at launch on any platform. The reason for this is simple. They're still designing how it'll all work, but at the moment the idea seems to be that players will be given their own private world to play in and that they'll then be able to mod that however they want.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
And there we go, that's certainly a lot of info to take in, but hopefully this video has helped you come to terms with the type of game that Fallout 76 is going to be. If you want even more detail about Fallout 76, I highly suggest you go watch NoClip's Making of Fallout 76 documentary, as it has loads more information in there regarding everything from world building to the potential addition of a deathmatch at a later date. Do let us know what you think about Fallout 76 after watching this video. Has it helped ease your mind, or are you still determined to give it a miss? Thanks to everyone who watched this video. If you did enjoy it, do give it a like. Do subscribe to Eurogamer for more Fallout 76 news as and when we get it, and do have a lovely day. Goodbye.